Sweet 16 is here. We've also got NBA UFC Fight Night in Mexico. Also going to be joined by Dave Mason from Bet Online and Gianni The Greek. It is a jam-packed day. Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. This is the best sports gambling show on the planet. We're not here for hot takes, big-time hype. We're here to give you actionable info, winning strategies, and insight from handicappers who do this for a living. We have some great guests, and there is none other the best than Teddy Covers coming in. Teddy, and I told you this is a touch weird. I'm interviewing you. We did this the complete opposite way for so long, and now I'm sitting here interviewing you. This is great. How's everything going?
Well, and to me, this is super fun because now I get to rip your open instead of ripping Prez's open. Dude, you buried the lead. It's opening day, you know? So, I mean, today for me is one of the best. We talk about these great days in sports. Sweet 16 Thursday with opening day, to me, is one of those special days. That's why the red jacket's on today, man. It's like, it's a fun day. It's a fun day as a fan. And as a bettor, there's, all kinds of opportunities with the whole 162-game baseball season just starting today. So everyone's in first place. But should be a lot of fun. One of my favorite days of the year for betting, Andy.
In my defense, we don't have anybody on talking MLB today. So it's like, I really didn't have anything to tee up for MLB. But don't you worry. We've got it feels like 17 months of MLB to talk about. There will be plenty of MLB to talk. This season just goes on and on and on. But let's get into the Sweet 16 while we're doing this. Guys, hit the like button. I hate having to do this throughout the entire show. Just right now, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. It boosts the algorithm. Let's get into it, Teddy. We're going to go over Arizona and Duke, BYU, Alabama. Let's start with BYU versus Alabama. How do you see this game going down?
So this is a side play for the clients. You can visit my page, wt.buzz/TC. I've been running pretty good, 71% all sports the last 12 days, over 31 units of profit. 69% college hoops heater over the last couple of weeks. So we're making money in the tournament. I want to talk about the total for this game. This one's been bet up from the opener, and that was all sharp money. We saw, open as low as 171.5. Now we're seeing 175.5, pretty much across the board on my Odds Logic live odds screen. And when you see this type of move, you don't see a lot of moves like this. Bigger moves at this time of the year. You expect the lines to come out pretty close to being right. And this wasn't. The books underpriced the number on this total, certainly for the markets. Why? Let's talk about it. Alabama's number 4 net offensive rating full season and number 1 in pace. They are the ultimate over team in theory. BYU, full season numbers, number 9 offensive rating. So we're talking about 2 top 10 offensive teams. But BYU's full season pace numbers say they're number 178 in tempo. In my mind, that number is lying. All right. Those are full season numbers. BYU down the stretch, 12-3 to the over with 1 push their last 16 ball games. Totals at 150 or higher during that span. 6-0 to the over with 1 push. So this team, BYU, has season-long numbers that aren't accurately reflecting what they're doing right now. And from all indications, they're not looking to slow pace against Alabama. It's going to be run and gun all night. So I think this has the potential to be a very high-scoring affair. Loser gets to 90? Maybe. I like the over between BYU and Alabama.
Do you see this year in and year out, teams kind of changing their pace as they get into the tournament? Is this something that happens to a lot of teams where they just kind of get through the regular season and now it's time to turn it on in the tournament, or is this just kind of a one-off situation with BYU's pace increasing?
So BYU's pace is not just in the tournament. This has been now, it was about the last 10 games of the regular season where they started to run and gun, and that's when they played their best basketball. So they've continued to do it. In general, and we talk about the Sweet 16, in general, I want dogs, I want unders. I had dinner with Ralph Michaels last night, and he was talking about, again, we're not talking about crazy stats, but 58% dogs, 58% unders, over a long-term sample size. So that's the first way we're going to look in these games. This particular matchup, given BYU season-long numbers and their current form over the last 10, 15 games. That's why the money's poured in on the under, and I think that money is correct.
Teddy covers one of the better days of the year for Teddy. We got opening day. We've got Sweet 16. Let's talk about Arizona and Duke. Obviously, Duke and Cooper Flagg are going to get all the love and all the attention. But Arizona, tough team. How do you see this game playing out?
So when it comes to Arizona Duke, I talked about this game yesterday on Bet On It. By the way, if you haven't watched this week's Bet On It, I encourage you check it out. Andy Lang, you're on it. Ralph Michaels is on it. I'm on it. Of course, Kelly in Vegas, Marco D'Angelo, Joe Ranieri, and we're all breaking down Sweet 16 games. It is WagerTalk's number one most popular show. Check out Bet On It. I broke down this game on that show yesterday. And I started it this way. All right. My analysis started like this. Duke is a hard team for me. I haven't played honor against them in the tournament so far. I think I've only played honor against Duke once all year. Why is Duke hard for me? Well, simple. Yes, they are that good. And yes, the betting markets aren't sleeping on how good they are. This isn't a value-laden team. All right. They're not a team. All right. There's a ton of value on Duke right now. There isn't. They're laying 9.5 to a really good Arizona team. Arizona's no pushover. So, am I inclined to back Duke in this price range against this team? Hell no. Am I excited about fading them? Not really. That being said, if I have to play the game, I can only take Arizona. All right. This is a rematch of a game that was played earlier in the season at McHale Center in Tucson. And that game was kind of a turning point for Arizona's season. Duke destroyed them in that game. It was 69-55 was the final. Arizona couldn't score. Caleb Love was shut down. And that was the game after which Tommy Lloyd was like, it was a tough night for me in the program. We got to figure out why the pieces aren't fitting together. We got to figure out what our certainties are and these things we have to have. And over the course of the next couple of days, there are adjustments we need to make. We're going to find out what those are. Well, Lloyd did that. That game was the turning point for their season. And after that, pretty much the rest of the way, or most of the rest of the way, Arizona was a bet-on squad. And the key is, of course, the development of the bench. They had injuries early. They lost their big man who was supposed to be a stud, the guy who was supposed to be able to contain Flagg in this ballgame. And the bench production, the role players just weren't there early in the season. The Carter Bryant, Henry Vassir, Anthony Delorso, Toby Awaka combined 2 of 7 shooting in the first meeting. Well, that quartet against Oregon last Sunday, 32 points, 11 to 22 from the floor, 22 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. The depth is there for Arizona right now. And Arizona showed me a lot in that win over Oregon. And they've done it before. But the dig deep, the respond to adversity, it's a team that has, number one, the talent level's there. And number two, the mentality is there. They were smacked by Oregon early on in that ballgame and rallied back. Oregon gave everything they could handle, and they made the plays down the stretch. Caleb Love. Us going down early, we never panicked. We never altered anything. I just think we were so poised throughout the whole game. No one was worried about anything but finishing and winning. So it's certainly an Arizona team that's shown character. It's an Arizona team I think is better than they were in the first meeting. I don't step in front of Duke likely, but I think this number is a little bit too high. Arizona plus the points if I was going to get involved in this one.
Love it. I'm with you. Listen, I took an under on Cooper Flagg points. So I'm not scared to fade some of these teams either as well. That was on the Bet On It show that we talked about. Do you have any takeaways from the first 2 rounds? Any difference in the way you bet the Sweet 16 compared to some of the earlier rounds with obviously tougher matchups the later we get into the tournament?
Yeah, it's a really tough matchup. And I just jotted down some Sweet 16 thoughts. I talked a little bit earlier about Ralph Michaels looking at dogs and unders, both of them. Again, not crazy numbers, but 58% long-term for dogs and unders in the round of 16, the Sweet 16. So that's the first way we're going to look for a lot of these games. Look, I get it. It's all SEC, Big 10, Big 12. There's only one ACC. I'm not buying into the mid-majors are dead theory, by the way. Even this year, Colorado State was good enough. Drake was good enough. Colorado State obviously had the tough end game against Maryland. Drake had a tough matchup, but I don't feel like mid-majors are dead forever because this year's tournament didn't feature mid-majors in the Sweet 16. If we're going to quote Aaron Rodgers, relax. It's a damn short sample size. We're talking about, the last 2 weeks means that all the mid-majors are dead. I don't see that the case. That's the case. The top 8 Ken Palm teams are all alive. Maryland's 10, Arizona's 13, Kentucky 15, Purdue 16, Michigan 20, Ole Miss 21. So, 14 of the top 21 teams in Ken Palm are still alive. There were two bad teams still standing. That's BYU and Arkansas. And both of those teams, you can argue they're undervalued. They both played their best ball down the stretch and have the talent level to compete, even though their full season numbers are lower. In general, I like betting against Cinderellas this round, but there's no true Cinderellas to fade right now. A bunch of really good teams still standing, all battle-tested, all for major conferences. I'm expecting a bunch of close games over the next 2 nights. And really, let's be real about it. We're in the Sweet 16, all right? There's 15 more games this college basketball season in the NCAA tournament. We obviously have that tournament in Vegas next week and NIT and that kind of stuff. But what are we going to find? Half a dozen good bets between now and the end of the tournament? I'd love to find half a dozen good bets between now and the end of the tournament. This is not a scenario where I personally am going to pepper the board with wagers this weekend. We'll find a handful of good spots, but Sweet 16, I'm not going nuts betting-wise this week like you can do in those opening 2 rounds. Personally, I'm keeping it relatively light, over the next couple of days.
Yeah, you don't have to bet every game, guys. That's that's actual a rule, is you don't have to. But listen, Teddy, there's some rules in journalism, and one of them is when you have Teddy Covers on a show on opening day, you have to zigzag and at least get a little bit of MLB talk. Are there any storylines or teams that you're really interested in to start the season? Any players? What are some thoughts to get this MLB season started?
Well, we're fading the Yankees from day one today. I am not high on the Bronx Bombers coming into the season on both sides of the equation. Obviously a pitching staff that's lost maybe their best 2 starters is likely to have some issues early on. But my bigger issue with the Yankees, you have Aaron Judge, and then what? They'll miss Soto this year. I got a little taste of Milwaukee and Peralta on the hill against the Yankees today. But look, baseball is a grind. Baseball is a long season. You will not make your fortune on opening day, and hopefully you will not lose a fortune on opening day. Again, if ever there's a slow and steady wins the race, a pace yourself scenario, MLB is that sport. So it's another scenario where, slow and steady wins this race. We're not going nuts today. But we're paying attention. I expect to make money in April in baseball this year, much like I did last year.
Yeah, whether you're betting on the Sweet 16 or opening day in MLB, that money all spends the same. So Teddy Covers, absolutely fantastic job as always. Tell everyone what you have up at WagerTalk.
Yeah, we're running pretty good, guys. It's nice to come on a hot streak. That wasn't the case all that much the first month or 2 of 2025. That's the case right now, though. On a 71% all sports run over the last, close to 2 weeks now, more than 30 units of profit. The NBA is rolling. I love the NBA at this time of year, Lang. I really do. 3-0 with the last 3, 9-2 with the last 11. The markets fall asleep on the NBA, and I like to pay attention. So we've got 1 play in baseball, 1 play in the NBA, 1 play in the Sweet 16. Get all 3 right now. Value price package on my page, wt.buzz/TC.
Thank you so much, Teddy. And yeah, if you got flex picks, Teddy would be a great nominee to use some flex picks for today, or get that 1-day pass to get all of Teddy's plays. Thank you so much, Teddy. We have a baseball special that is available on WagerTalk for any handicapper. Teddy would be a fantastic person to use this on 7 days MLB pass for only $49. That's only $7 a day. It's opening day. Teddy is locked and loaded. You heard him. He is more excited about opening day, it feels like, than the NCAA tournament. So you want to get 7 quick days of MLB at a discount. Go ahead and take advantage of that. You do not need a promo code. I would highly recommend Teddy for that one. I had a pretty good day yesterday for clients as well. 3-1 all sports, 2-0 sweep in the NBA, 40-16 NBA run. Those NBA plays have just been dynamite. We do have our NBA best bet that is up as well. And we are still running our 3-month special, 30% off 3 months. Profitable in an incredible 14 out of 17 months. Like that run is I would like to say it's unsustainable. We've been doing it for so long. I feel like it is sustainable. We're profitable in all 3 months in 2025. So jump on board. These are plays that we bet with our own money, and we're very excited to keep the train rolling. All right, let's bring in Nick Parsons. We've got a $2 play over at Sportsmemo. Nick, how are you, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me up to the big show here over from Sportsmemo.
So it's $2 Thursday over there, Nick. And before we get into your free play, listen, you're on an incredible run in some of these sports. Number one in NHL. Not only are you like being number one is fine, but up 70.8 units is incredible. Congratulations on that season. I know you're doing really well in NBA, 78 and 65. And more importantly, you're on a 12-4 NCAA tournament run. And that is your $2 play today. So talk to us about college basketball. You've been seeing this sport really, really well.
Yeah, I've been playing with house money in 4 different sports this season. So the NBA, NHL, college basketball, and also college football. And so with the start of baseball today, hopefully make it a 5th sport playing with house money here. But yeah, I have really caught fire in college basketball here since the conference tournament started, Andy. 12-4. A 12-4 run. And so, yeah, this $2 play is my Sweet 16 top side. You guys can head on over to Sportsmemo. If your audience hasn't been over to Sportsmemo, it's changed a bit. We're having a lot of fun over there. There's a few new cappers over there. We're putting out a lot of content as well on the Sportsmemo channel. And so, yeah, just you can check out all my different records there and check out that $2 Thursday play for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't get better than a $2 play on the Sweet 16 from one of the hottest NCAA tournament handicappers around. I love your free play. I love when someone has the onions to come on and take a big double-digit
standing in front of the train
in the NBA. I love this. This is great. Onions. All right, let's talk the Grizzlies and the Thunder. And you ain't betting the Thunder. You're going with the Grizzlies, aren't you?
Well, I mean, it would be easy just to take the Thunder, right? I mean, they just seem to cover and win every single game. They come into this one having won and covered in 7 straight. But the Grizzlies, they're huge underdogs on the road here. They play with revenge, but they're often important 140-103 win at Utah. That snapped a 3-game losing streak. I think they can bounce back here, keep it competitive. I'm not calling for an outright win or anything. But the bottom line is that the Thunder's position in the playoffs is already set. They've sewn up the top spot in the West. And the Grizzlies, they are fighting for a top 4 spot here still. They're going to be without Ja Morant. But Scottie Pippen, he's filled in good. He had a huge game against Utah there. And the Grizzlies, they're actually 11-8 when Pippen does start this year. So, as I said, Oklahoma most recently beat the Grizzlies 120-103 back on March 5th. The Thunder, they've actually won all 3 games so far this season, and this is the finale here. Overall, Oklahoma City, it averages 119.8 points per game, but the Grizzlies, they average 122.4. The difference, of course, comes on the defensive end. Oklahoma City is number 1 on the defensive end. I really like Shai. He's Canadian, just like me. But I'm a little still unconvinced of seeing the Thunder go deep into the playoffs here, or survive a 7-game series against Denver or the Lakers or the Clippers, even for that matter. Perhaps they will this year. They'll get over the hump. But yeah, this is actually a brutal stretch for the Grizzlies. After this game at Oklahoma City, they have games at home versus the Lakers, Celtics, and Warriors, followed by road games at the Heat and Pistons. So, I mean, this is a very important game, I'd have to say. And so, obviously, it's difficult to say anything negative about the Thunder. As I said, they win and cover almost every single game. But yeah, most of the money is on the Thunder here, but I'm standing in front of the train here. I think that there's enough situational factors here working in favor of Memphis. So I'm going to grab all those points, not call for the outright, but I'm expecting a closer battle here than what the spread is suggesting.
Yeah, Thunder have won 14 out of 15. 9 of those 14 wins have been by 10 plus points more. And you mentioned that Ja Morant. I mean, this year has been the year of when is Ja Morant going to play? Do you feel like he's been missing so much that the team is just almost used to it by now? I feel like they made kind of like, yeah, he's not playing again. Of course.
No, exactly. And I mean, now getting so close to the playoffs here, they may even consider resting him. But I mean, they do need wins. But I mean, this is something that they are kind of used to, even from last year, from the suspension, etc. And so they actually have done well without him in the lineup. It seems, that the team rallies. It's a motivation rally point, etc. for the team. And so, I mean, yeah, they don't want to lose a fourth game to Oklahoma City here, but I'm sure they will. But yeah, I think they can keep it competitive with all these points.
Nick Parsons is the $2 handicapper over at Sportsmemo. Nick, tell everyone your streaks again one more time, because they are very, very impressive, especially that tournament run you're on.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, the $2 play, it's on my Sweet 16 top side, guys. I'm on a 12-4 tournament run. I'm the number 1 capper over at Sportsmemo for the last 30 days. I'm the number 3 overall capper for 2025. I lead the NHL this season. I'm playing with house money in 4 different sports. You can check out all of those streaks on the leaderboards over at Sportsmemo. Guys, if you haven't been over to Sportsmemo, go check it out. We're having a great time over there and giving out a lot of winners.
Absolutely. Great job, Nick. Good luck on that $2 play. I'll be tagging along with it as well, and continued success in the NCAA tournament. Nick Parsons over at Sportsmemo. He wasn't kidding. Sportsmemo getting some new looks, some new changes, really upping their game. And you get guys like Nick over there just cashing tickets. It helps quite a bit. So take advantage of that $2 play. Nothing better than a Sweet 16 4% $2 play over at sportsmemo.com. All right, we're bringing in Kyle, Anthony. We're going to talk UFC Fight Night in Mexico. Kyle and I know a lot of the same people, but Kyle, I would say one guy that I think you and I know that is dead to us is Jordan Vucenic.
Yeah.
I'm done with that guy.
I mean, I was a believer. I have to, I feel like this is like, I have to come out and just, I was a believer in him, not on Duncan at all. I still don't think Duncan is that great. But yeah, that was a killer. That was a kill. That was almost as bad as the judging, just in general. But that was bad. That was bad.
For those UFC fans, we are coming up. Seriously, one of the weirdest cards in recent memory, like top to bottom. It was everything that you just didn't see coming. It came at us full force. But we got a great card. I love these Mexican cards. I think they're some of the most bettable UFC events. So let's start off with talking about main event. We got Brandon Moreno and Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg I have to admit, he has one of the weirdest UFC careers of anybody. This is the guy that comes in and barely beats David Dvorak, and oops, I'm fighting for the title a couple of fights later. So walk us through this main event. Tell us about Moreno and Erceg, and how do you see this fight going down?
Yeah, so in the main event, we have Brandon Moreno. He's minus 250 on the comeback here. On Erceg is plus 190. Now, definitely have this line opening up around minus 175, and money has consistently come in on Moreno, pushing this to a minus 250. I'm sorry. But to your point here, I mean, when you're looking really at Erceg here, I mean, he may have gotten the most undeserving title shot ever. And that was off of knocking out Matt Chanel, who, is on the Mount Rushmore of glass chins, and he knocks him out, has a spectacular knockout. And then all of a sudden he's fighting Pantoja, loses to Pantoja, and then gets knocked out by Kai Kara-France. Now, when you're looking at Erceg, he's more of a grappler. He's more of a guy who wants to get this fight to the ground, wants to utilize his high-level jiu-jitsu, his submission game, and he doesn't really have the power. And again, yes, he knocked out, Matt Chanel, who, gets knocked out by a gust of wind. But besides for that, I think that, you're looking at Moreno, who is better everywhere. And yes, that's indicated in the line here. He's going to be the better grappler. He's going to have the better striking overall. And I think what he can do in this fight is utilize his volume and pressure. And I think that's going to work very well for him, where he's looking to really utilize that cardio, weaponize it. The pace also, I think, is going to really start to wear on Erceg as this fight goes on. Plus, I think that Erceg wants more of a, if it stays standing, really more of a technical, rangy type of fight. That's not Moreno. He's going to be coming in guns blazing. He's going to be swinging. He's going to force the action here. And that's one of the big red flags on Erceg is his durability. Now, he's only been knocked out one time in his career, or finished one time in his career, and that was his last fight. But besides for that, he gets rocked, wobbled. He doesn't absorb shots very well. I think that you're going to see Moreno pushing that pace, really forcing the action. And I think that's where he's going to find a lot of success. Moreno has the better boxing, has the durability to win in those exchanges. And plus, this will be, like you said, Andy, this is going to be in Mexico. I think Moreno is really going to push that type of pace and really look to put a stamp on this here. And I think Erceg is there for the taking to be put away. So getting off the minus 250 number, you've got Moreno inside the distance, is sitting around plus 240. Out of 5 rounds, I think he finds that finish on Erceg.
I love it. You mentioned like Steve Erceg, one of the most undeserving. Pantoja's fought 2 of them in a row. He gets Erceg, and then they bring in the guy from Risen to make his UFC debut Asakura, a title shot, like nothing, no tune-up, no warm-up fight. I don't know what they're doing with Pantoja. I guess they're just out of guys to fight.
I honestly think it is that. I think that is. I think they're looking for like, all right, who can we kind of bring in here? And kind of like I said, he's beaten, he beats Dvorak and Chanel, and all of a sudden he's fighting for a title. It's like, it doesn't make sense, but that might be a little slim pickings in the division, I think.
Absolutely. We've got another fight to talk about, but Kyle, tell everyone what you have up at WagerTalk for this weekend.
Yeah, so I have a 5% best bet play or max play up for clients. That was really a sweet spot for us last year in 2024. Want to keep that going here this year. Like the spots that we have 4 plays up right now, have some plus money in there as always, and going to probably add to it. Like you're saying, Andy, I think there's some good spots here. I'm watching line movement, seeing what we're going to be able to place our money on. So going to be adding to that, but have 4 plays up now, have a 5% play in there. So check it out.
All right, we're going to get to your next fight. And this is where we kind of go ESPN first take, because you're talking about the fight that I actually talked about earlier this week, and we are on completely different sides, but this is fun. This is what makes it great. So we're going to talk Ronaldo Rodriguez and Kevin Borjas. You like Borjas at the plus money. Talk this one out for us.
Yeah, so we got Ronaldo here. He is minus 160 on the comeback. You got Borjas plus 135. Now, both of these guys are newcomers to the UFC. You've got Ronaldo, who was 2-0. You've got Borjas, who was 0-2. And I do think that recent, really the recent results is what's pushing this line a little bit further than it should be. And when you're looking at it, you've got Ronaldo who, has those 2 wins, but he went out there and beat, Dennis Bondar, who I am not high on at all. I don't think he's very good, even UFC caliber. But Bondar went out there, he outlanded him 41-31, got multiple takedowns. It was looking like he was on his road to really winning. He gasses. He's not a good fighter. And credit to Ronaldo for going out there and getting the finish. And then after that was Ode Osborne, who, he's a good fighter, explosive. But again, he's just not really getting to what we all thought he was. But even in that fight, he goes out there, he hurts Ronaldo. He had a chance to even, submit him at a point and loses a very close decision. So it wasn't even really the greatest performance, at least in my opinion. And then, you've got Borjas, who fought 2 really strong guys in Joshua Van and Alessandro Costa. I'm high on those guys overall, but I think stylistically here, each of them do have their advantages. I think that, Ronaldo can utilize some of that grappling, and then in the other side, you've got Borjas, who is going to have the better striking. But I think that Ronaldo has to get takedowns. He just is forced to get takedowns here. And it's not really something that he's that good at. If the fight gets to the ground, he's high level, he's very good with his jiu-jitsu, but his wrestling really lacks there. And I think that's where this fight does play out on the feet. And I think that's where Borjas going to be far better in the striking. He's going to have the faster hands, 3-inch reach advantage. I do like his striking overall. And I think that Ronaldo, if it stays on the feet, he is just wild. He's reckless. He's there to be countered. So I think Borjas can keep it standing. And I think he should be the slight favorite here. I did talk about this or give this out on my page at WagerTalk at plus 150. So you are seeing the line move in a little bit here. But I do like Borjas here, and I think he gets a job done.
I love that Ronaldo Rodriguez had his first pro fight when he was 17. I was trying to put myself in that position if I was 17 and they were like, "Hey, you're gonna go fight that grown man." Like, no.
Yeah, some of these guys got to be a little crazy when they're starting that early, or even Rosas, who's on this card too. I mean, this kid is thrown to the UFC, in his teens. So I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, he's 20 years old. And you can tell UFC's just throwing him can after can after can because they're like, he's so young and so raw, except he is UFC caliber. Let's just keep scraping old fighters off the trash heap, and let's get him some finishes at the Mexican card. Kyle, you don't give yourself enough credit for your 5% run last year. Your 5% run was like not just good, it was legendary. Like, how many did you hit? Would you hit like 13 or 14 in a row? Like, how many did you hit?
Yeah, it was like 14 of 16 last year. This year I'm hitting a little bit of a speed bump here, so I'm like, that was last year. I'm really looking at this year here, but again, there was even spots where this year where I've had a minus 1,500, minus 1,600 going to the scorecards, and we lose. So it's been a little bit of that rocky road here, but I love these spots this week. And again, we do have that 5% that I absolutely plan on cashing on Saturday.
Yeah, Kyle Anthony and winning 5% plays go hand in hand. So make sure you take advantage of that WT.buzz/KA. Kyle, thanks so much. Let's freaking have a better card than last week. Let's just forget about last week.
No surprises, and let's keep the judges out of it. I may just start betting, keep the judges out of it. Knockouts, submissions, just keep it out of it. But I'm looking forward to it, and we'll do this again.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. Good luck on your 5% this weekend. All right, everyone, got to hit the like button. So I asked everyone to hit the like button yesterday, and then at the end of the show, I was like, we only had 4 likes. Well, I didn't know you had to refresh the screen. So I was inside. I was mad at you guys for not hitting the like button, and then I realized I was the one not doing it right. We had a great comment in the chat. So I use the word onions. And the comment is, Andy, only Bill Raftery can say onions. And I was like, okay, that's fair. I've been saying it for a long time. So I asked for suggestions, and we've got huevos, stones, and cojones. Dan, I kind of like stones as a good one.
Stones is strong. I'm partial to plums. I'm partial to plums. Like down in my plums. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm partial to plums.
Like like hard, tough. I don't like the international flair of huevos and cojones. I like to.
Well, you could always go with go south of the border, go with albundigas, meatballs. But that gets a little more graphic. So you really
solid. All right, let's bring in Dave Mason. But first, we've got an MLB special that is going up 7 days for only $49, only $7 a day for all of MLB plays. You don't need a promo code. You do not need to go to a certain page. This is for everybody. 7 days of MLB picks for just $49. It is opening day. Listen, I know all the attention is going to be on NCAA tournament. Great. Watch that and have fun, but take advantage of these markets that are gettable. And sometimes the best lines are when these sports open up. The books are trying to hammer in these lines, and we're certainly going to ask Dave Mason about that. But take advantage of that. No promo code needed. 7 days for $49. Do we have Dave Mason ready to rock here, Dan?
I'm here.
All right. What's up, Dave? Real quick. So I just said that the books kind of hard to hammer in the opening day numbers in MLB. Is that correct? Or do you guys feel super 100% confident? Like, no, we know these baseball teams and we're ready to go.
Yeah, baseball, beginning of the season is always a bit of a challenge. But, I was looking at numbers earlier. They moved a lot, and sharps are all over the darn place. So, and as usual, the sharps are seeing the value in the dogs. But, we're still dealing dime lines, too. So, a lot of the newer books are dealing 20-cent odds on baseball, and fewer and fewer books are dealing dime lines. So that just adds to the challenge of MLB on our part. It's like you don't have as much wiggle room when you have reduced juiced MLB lines as opposed to the industry standard 20 cents. So, but it gets going. It's a long season. It's a grind. Baseball is such a grind, though, man. It's crazy, and those dime lines are making it more challenging, but our players love it.
Yeah, listen, I've been a I've been a fan and a customer for a long, long time. I absolutely, truly recommend you guys every time. Any MLB futures that you guys are a little bit worried about? I was laughing with Art DeCesar yesterday. I was like, do you just hate the Dodgers every single day? Like is that, do you just hate Yankees and Dodgers? You're just constantly rooting against them?
Yeah, usually, yeah. I mean, during the postseason, especially the Dodgers. I mean, it was every darn day. It was they were getting hammered. But from the future standpoint, it's not. There's still so much action yet to come in. So, I mean, our liabilities right now are the Giants 75-1. Lottery ticket syndrome, I call it. Dodgers plus 230, and then other teams like the Mariners and Rangers. But it's all manageable liabilities. I mean, like I said, so much more actions yet to come in. There's nothing too crazy yet. None of those liabilities are like, oh God, we better start, doing something about it kind of stuff.
Let's talk about Sweet 16. What's the action coming in looking like for today's games?
Yeah, man. Action is great. Money wise, 58% on BYU getting the 5, 72% on Florida. I mean, everybody's on Florida. They're the most popular futures ticket, and today the most popular bet. 72% of the cash is on Florida -6. 56% is on Duke -9.5, and 56% is on Texas Tech. As far as some sharp stuff, BYU +5.5. Maryland +7, Arkansas +6 for tonight's games.
What's your favorite play? If you
BYU.
had to play one. Oh, it's BYU.
I bet BYU. That's my play for the day.
Love it. Is Duke still like the super public? I feel like Duke has been like the sharp and the public team this year. Is that true, or what's going on with Duke?
Yeah, and Duke's always the public team, right? But they take sharp action too. Have we seen any today? Not really. There hasn't. Well, actually, there's two-way sharp action on that game. To tell you the truth, that there's sharps are just battling each other on that one. So nothing. It's taking a lot of volume sharp wise, but like I said, it's very even, which happens. People think sharps are only betting one side always, and that's not true. Often it's that way, but occasionally you do get two-way sharp, and that's the case in that game.
How's the NBA action these days? Teddy Covers was on earlier. He loves this time of year. I do too. Him and I are both running really, really hot in NBA, but I feel like wrapping up the season, it's not a topic everyone talks about. How's your NBA action looking these days?
Yeah, I mean, it goes down during March Madness, that the hardcore guys are going to be there. You and Teddy Covers are going to be there. It doesn't matter, right? But more the, the guys that are kind of recreational, they're putting all their action on March Madness now. That's taking the focus. Plus the end of the season, with teams lined up there, a lot of teams doesn't matter anymore. And, some teams are locking up their seeds or whatever. So the NBA action does pull back a little bit during March Madness. That being said, the Sharps don't stop betting. They got the Wizards +13.5 and the Magic -7. And, we're a few weeks out from the NBA playoffs. That's when the action turns up the heat again. March Madness is out of the way and NBA starts to the playoffs. So the action doubles, triples, quintuples, whatever during the playoffs.
Who do you like in the NBA?
No one. No, I don't know.
Nobody?
Tonight's games, I have no idea. To win it all, shoot, I'm not sure. Oklahoma City, I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I really don't have any concrete plays. Admittedly, I don't follow NBA as much as I used to. I'm a much more of a college basketball guy when it comes to basketball, so I don't want to tip anybody NBA once the playoffs start. My Sixers are horrible, so I'm still a fan too. Even though this is business and paying attention to sports, I'm still a fan too. And my Sixers, oh my God, I don't know what's going on there. We're in a ditch. So unfortunately, I don't watch as much as I should once my team's out of it as well.
Well, you and Dan can get together and celebrate your Eagles
That's right.
win and
That's
then
right.
not worry about the 76ers. So Dave Mason from betonline.ag. Listen, I really truly mean this. I've been on betonline.ag for years and years and years. It is a fantastic site. Dave, tell everyone where we can find you at.
Yeah, on Twitter, at Dave Mason, BOL. Coming over to betonline.ag. Like we've talking about MLB opening day, we still deal dime lines, which is very important. All the promos, all the contests, all that stuff are nice, but nothing's going to impact your bankroll in a positive fashion like reduced juice MLB dime line. So please come over to betonline.ag and maximize your baseball bankroll this year.
Dave Mason from betonline.ag. Dave, thanks so much for doing this. Have a good one. Hopefully you get some sleep throughout March Madness.
One last thing.
Yeah.
I vote for plums too. I was going to suggest that, but that's my vote. Plums. Yeah, I dropped that. I'm going to drop that today. Just hanging out in your honor. All right.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Thanks, Dave.
Philly's going to get a win today. I can feel it in my plums, Andy. I can feel it in my plums.
That's right. All right, fellas.
Thanks. Have a good one. We're bringing on Gianni here in just a second. We had some great comments based on our talk yesterday about professional athletes who get hurt doing everyday chores. Matt Matheny cut his thumb while he was with the St. Louis Cardinals with a hunting knife he received as a birthday gift and missed the playoffs. Matt Stairs fell up the stairs and missed games 3 and 4 in the playoffs. And then I actually remember the Chase Blackbird. He was cleaning out his ear with a Q-tip, and a reporter bumped into him and he jabbed his ear, and it he lost his hearing for a day or so. So great comments in the comments section. Absolutely great comments. I said I was going to do darts play, so we'll do a quick one. We do have an official darts play that is up at WagerTalk.com. That play goes off in about 3 hours. Free play, we're looking at Michael Van Gerwen over 2.5 180s. He went over this in all 3 matches last week. He was going after the treble 19s for a while, but I think he stopped that. He plays Aspinall. They played 2 weeks ago. MVG had 4 180s. The final score was 6-4. Went 10 legs. That's way more opportunities for 180. So Michael Van Gerwen over 2.5 180s. A couple NBA betting tips. Paolo Banchero has gone over his 1.5 made threes in 9 straight games. He's averaging 6.8 attempts. Dallas is dead last in defending 3-pointers on power forwards. And I broke down the Bulls in the Lakers game. I like this Bulls team total over 116.5. Lakers on a back-to-back. Bulls have scored 121 or more in 4 straight. They're number 9 in offense last 10 games. So there's a couple NBA betting tips you can take advantage of. NBA Hidden Gem best bet is up. Sweep last night for us in NBA. That's a 40-16 NBA run. This NBA is just printing money, guys. It is my best NBA season I have ever had, hands down. So take advantage of that over at WagerTalk.com. All right, we're bringing in Gianni. But first, real quick, listen, Gianni, I got to do this real quick. So Dan and Jesse Schul breaking are going to be doing an opening day edition of First Pitch this afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern. So yes, we listened to you in the chat. We saw your comments. We will do an opening day edition of First Pitch at 2 o'clock. Jesse will be giving away some client plays, and they will be taking your questions. So you need some MLB info, some actionable information. Check that out, 2 o'clock. All right, let's bring in Gianni. Gianni, it's opening day. Love to know what's going on with baseball. It's not a sport I follow nearly as much as everyone else. Where's everyone at on opening day here? And good to see you, by the way.
Good to see you, my man. On the favorites. They're betting the favorites like it's a 5-game season. That's the problem. It's opening day. You got to remember, I was talking about this on Last Call with Kelly this morning. It's so hard to quantify motivation. And in baseball, where they play 160-plus games, it's even more difficult to quantify motivation. What is it worth? Are they even motivated? They're playing so many games. They're playing 3-game series. But if you're ever going to get a motivated team, it's going to happen during the playoffs, and it's going to happen on opening day. That's when it matters. That's when everyone's 0-0. That's when everybody still thinks they can make the playoffs or World Series run. Reality hasn't hit home. You're not 5 games behind the first place team, and your fans are excited. You have a packed ballpark, unlike July and August when you're 20 games out. So betting all these road favorites, I think, is a recipe for disaster. And that's exactly what I'm seeing in the back end. I'm seeing nothing but 3 team parlays with the Philadelphia Phillies. No surprise. They're supposed to end up 20 games better than Washington. I get it. But it's the first game of the season. And this is what sticks out to me with that game. And I got a Phillies hat on. And Dave Mason was just on. If you look at the on screen on Odds Logic right now, or at least on the WagerTalk free odds, you're going to see that DraftKings has about minus 155 on the Phillies, while the sharper outs have minus 145 on the Phillies. They're inviting you to bet the Phillies at Bet Online. They're not, they're discounting it compared to the square shops that won't allow the betting syndicates to bet those dogs. So again, I'm not saying the Phillies are going to lose, but pay attention to what the sharp books do compared to what a lot of the square books do. And a lot of times that's going to tell you at least where the sharp action is. And when you're getting 8 out of 10 bets on the Philadelphia Phillies and the lines dropped at these sharp books down to 145 from 170 earlier in the day, overnight it was 177. You could conclude with certainty that there's a lot of sharp money that thinks Washington wins this first game in the opener. Again, I'm not telling you Washington's going to win. Philly could go out there and beat them by 10 runs. But it's game 1 of the season. It's opening day. The home teams are even more motivated than the road teams. And even the worst teams in baseball aren't out of it yet. So be cautious. Even if they're going against the other team's ace, it's 2025. These aces aren't going 8 and 9 innings, especially the first game of the season. Your coach is not going to let that arm go out there and throw 125 pitches in the first game. It's just not going to happen. You're going to be betting on the bullpen more or less, unless you're betting first 5. So be very cautious, because that's what they're betting. They're betting the Phillies on the road. They're betting Pittsburgh on the road. This is the betting public, not the sharp bettors. The only home team they're actually betting is Arizona with the change of pitcher against the Cubs. And those teams are supposed to be pretty much even, at least when the season ends, if you look at the season win totals. And they're betting Boston on the road. They're betting LA Angels on the road. So it's those 4 road teams, 3 out of 4 road teams and 1 home team is what they're betting. And again, when the season ends, there's not going to be all that many teams that have a winning road record in baseball. There's not going to be that many teams that won 70% of their games. In fact, if you win 60% of your games, you're probably battling for the number 1 spot in your division. Rarely is there the outlier that wins 100 plus games. There's that one team in baseball that's going to win 100 plus games. I get it. But we have big enough sample size in baseball where teams do regress and progress towards the mean. A lot of times that don't happen in NFL. The season's too short. College basketball season's too short. So you get an outlier team that's playing above market expectations. There's not even enough time for them to regress towards the mean. They could sustain that for a sample size that's small. But in baseball, in 160 plus games, you're not sustaining that. Like, you're not sustaining an 80% run that long. It's not going to happen. So you will get teams to regress and progress towards the mean. So keep your eye on that. When a team's playing above market expectations, way above expectations in the short term, you could start fading them, expecting them to regress in the long term. That's my advice for baseball. Also, if you're going to bet any futures, stick to season win totals. The hold in, I get it, it's fun to pick the World Series winner and do that as a gamble. Toss a ticket in your pocket. I do it all the time. But I know it's a negative EV bet. I know I'm going up against a hold that's upwards of 25%. Some of those pools are 40% hold. You can't beat that market. It's unbeatable. So be cautious with the futures. They look good at 50 to 1, but you're not getting really true odds at all because it's kind of pari-mutuel betting. And don't be afraid to bet dogs in baseball. Again, you'll see halfway through the season, we get to the All-Star break, that there's so many instances where the 5th place team in the division is more profitable than the 1st place team. Because again, if you're laying minus 200, you got to win 2 out of 3 games to break even. And we know not many teams are going to go out there and win 100 plus games where they're winning 67% of their games. So be cautious in the baseball. In college basketball, real quickly, it's exactly what Dave said. I mean, they're coming in betting some of these favorites. Most notably, it's Florida. Florida is the team that's getting the one-sided action, and that line's dropped. It was 6.5, 7 even. Now it's back to 6, and no surprise, Maryland's a top 10 defense. In fact, some of the guys I respect most have them a top 5 defense in college basketball. So if that defense shows up, they should be able to keep it close. Not saying Florida can't get past them, but there's a reason they're the lowest favorite as a number one. And there's a couple 1 versus 4 to compare to. And you're looking at 3-4 points higher in the case of Duke. You're looking at 3-4 points higher in the case of Houston against Purdue, even Auburn versus Michigan. It's a 1 versus 5, but it's comparable. You're laying a lot more points in those because how tough this Maryland team is. And I also agree with Dave with BYU. I know that's a sharp play, and it's just going to be balanced because there's going to be more than enough public on Alabama. I'm seeing a lot of teasers. Don't tease college basketball. Don't tease NBA, but they're doing it anyway. They're doing it anyway, Andy. They're instead of money line parlays with these teams, they're just teasing them. They're teasing down the favorites. They're teasing down Duke. They're teasing Alabama. Here's what they're thinking. Okay, all Alabama and Florida have to do is win the game. And even better, I could just time into tomorrow with Houston, more or less just has to win the game. You know, that's the mentality. But teaser bets are just so bad. It's bad enough when you're expected to score 140, 150 points. There are times those 5 points, 4 points are going to help you. But in the long term, that's as negative EV as you're going to get. Points don't matter when you're expected 150 points to be scored. They're not as important. Every half point don't matter as much. It's different if you have an NFL total of 33.5. Sure, every point matters so much because you're not expected to score a lot. But when you're expected to score 150 plus games, which is the average in tonight's totals, how's that going to help you? It just won't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Gianni, listen, the favorites always win in the NCAA tournament. So,
yeah.
You know, it's full
and it's
plan.
said and done. Yeah,
full plan to money line parlay and
tease all for them in the past. Why won't it continue?
Yeah, if it ain't broke. Absolutely. Gianni, Steam Room is free tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, correct?
Yes, sir. Opening it up for March Madness. That's why I want to do it before the Sweet 16s games tip off. That way I could cover what's going on Friday night. We'll already have Saturday's matchups for the Elite Eight, and we could get ahead and talk a little bit about MMA. And of course, there'll be Major League Baseball day games, afternoon, night games. So I didn't want to do it on Saturday where there's just so much going on. And I know the bettors, they're like me. They want to watch the fights. They want to watch the games. They don't want to be listening to me talking for an hour and a half or 2 hours. But we'll be in there. We'll review year-to-date results. We'll review our blueprint on bet sizing. And I love doing it every week because it keeps me accountable to those who purchase or team up with me for the year, and even some shorter term packages. Makes me have to face them week in and week out, whether we win or lose. You got to go in there. You got to, face them. And I love doing that. Keeps me accountable.
I have so much respect for doing that. Yeah, it's great when you have a huge winning week, but it takes plums to face the music when you're coming off of
I had the worst baseball season last year, Andy, the worst ever that I had at WagerTalk. Like, not to brag, but baseball's been profitable for me. I've had one losing year since 2020. That was last year. I finished number one in profit in 2 of the last 4 years, but last year was horrific. And it was the summer, beautiful. You want to lay out. It's Vegas. It's warm, swimming pools. And I had to go in there and face these guys while getting buried. But it was such a humbling experience. And really helped me explain to bettors why I'm still able to do this 20 years later, because I finally learned how to manage my risk and realized that that's going to happen. And even during your most profitable years, I'm sure, you have a great run going. I'm sure someone could select, cherry pick a sample size that makes it look
NFL.
like you're throwing darts that you don't even know. Like, is this guy even watch sports? It just happens. It's if you're betting it's just impossible for it not to happen. So the Steam Room allows me to prepare them for that. Because, dude, if you want on the internet, everybody's talking about just follow my shit. You'll be driving a Rolls Royce 2 in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Here, check out my watch. I got that sports betting. You could get one too. Just bet my shit for 1 week. And it's nonsense. We all know that. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. So it helps me prepare the guys to go and avoid the pitfalls that I've faced throughout my betting career, and brush those demons off our shoulders that no matter how seasoned you are, we all face them every day. Don't chase, don't overbet, don't take a bad number, all the stuff we know what to do. But when you're losing, or sometimes even running real hot, your ego gets to you. And that's why I always try to level down. Say, I'm never as good as I look or never as bad as I look in any short-term period. Hopefully you're somewhere there in between and finish on the positive side.
Absolutely, Johnny. I know you're going to bounce back and have a great MLB season. Tell everyone what you have up now. Remember, the Steam Room is free tomorrow. What do you have up today for clients over at WagerTalk?
I got a Major League Baseball package in there, 3-pack with 1 4% play. I really like this one. It's a nice dog. Also have only my 5th 5% in college basketball the entire 2024-2025 season. I'm 3-1 going into this play tonight. Excited about it. Already have a final package, for Friday's Sweet 16 with 4% or more in there. And of course, we got MMA on Saturday with the UFC. I got 2 4% that we talked about yesterday and fired 2 more 3% last night. So a lot of action over the next couple of days, man. And I wish you and your subscribers, your supporters, all the best of luck too. I hope you do some damage and win some money.
Appreciate it, Gianni. Thanks so much. We're going to do this again tomorrow. All right, we're up against it, guys. Don't forget, flex picks are available at the website. Teddy be a great nominee today, as well as Gianni. You heard all the plays that he has. Guys, hit the like button. We are done for today on Thursday. And listen, Gianni gave us some great gems. Be careful with those road favorites. Be careful with those money line parlays and those teasers. The best way to make money is to not lose it. Let's protect those bankrolls. Let's come back tomorrow with our bankrolls a little bit thicker than they are today. Good luck on your bets, and we will see everyone later.